You're listening to episode 710 of the Father Bills podcast. Welcome back. This week's episode is entitled, Give Yourself Away, given on the 23rd Sunday in Ordinary Time, 2019. Last week I spoke about how a miracle had occurred in our community, made visible in the very existence of this church. This church is a gift from God to all who come into it. Many of us gave sacrificially through donations of money, volunteer time, or physical labor in building this house of worship. We had to, as we heard in the gospel today, sit down and calculate the cost to see if there would be enough for its completion. And we found that you had given in such extraordinary ways that we now had the confidence to demolish the old church and then construct a new church. Again, all this for the greater glory of God and the salvation of his people. This means that we have been good stewards. A steward is someone who knows all is a gift. All the things that we have, all the relationships that we have, our very life. And we are to treat these things with care and not with a sense of entitlement. We do not deserve this church, but it is here. We do not deserve salvation, but it is being offered to us. Knowing that all is gift, we know that it can be taken away in an instant. For some, it is done by tragedies like the hurricanes that have been pounding the east coast of our country this past week. For others, it's something that they're being called to do, to give away freely. Can we give up parents, mother and father, children, a wife, a husband? Many people have. I think of Saint Mother Teresa, who we celebrated this last week. She gave everything away to serve the poorest of the poor. Not everyone is called, of course, to be a Mother Teresa. But we are being called to give ourselves away freely, not begrudgingly. And in either case, whatever it is a form of dying to oneself. We heard from Jesus in the last part of the gospel today, quote, "Any one of you who does not renounce all his possessions cannot be my disciple." I mean, that's just one of many hard sayings he said just today in the scriptures. And we've been hearing, if you've been paying attention, week after week, hard sayings from Jesus. Jesus is kind, but he's also very demanding. He wants us to be with him. But we must get rid of the things that drag us down. We think about these things like getting rid of all of our possessions. That's very hard for us as a culture and a country with an amazing and rich economy and things that are sparkly, like the new iPhone that's coming out next week. The new Apple phone. Whatever. We know that Jesus' apostles renounced everything and followed him. They dropped their nets. What about us? What nets do we need to drop? And what about our response to this seemingly harsh command to let go of all family, of all possessions, on and on? I mean, he hit at the root of this culture. You are who you are because of your family. And he's saying, forget about it. follow me. Sure, the renunciation of possessions doesn't mean we literally need to give all our possessions away, does it? Well, here are some questions that I think we should ponder this week. I'll offer them now, but ponder on these through the week. Do our possessions keep us from encountering Christ at Mass? And when I say possessions, it could be not just possessions, it could be a relationship, a way of thinking, an ideology, your favorite sports team, go Steelers. Who knows? I could say go Ducks, but I'm not. No, I'm going. That's all good. Do these possessions distract us from our parish family? Living on our own, not getting involved in any of the things going on in our family? Do our possessions interfere with our relationships in general? You know, as an astronomer, I can recall back at the Oregon Star Party, and I was sitting there looking through my telescope. People wanted to come up and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" "I'm actually problem-solving a problem right now, and I need you to move away so I can do this. Quit bothering me." I didn't say that. But I sure thought that several times. I had to die to my agenda of the night. Do we spend more time then with our possessions than with God? Do they distract us so that we don't have to deal with the responsibilities that God has given us? I mean, we can really distract ourselves well in our culture. Do they make us insensitive to those less fortunate? Do they make us focus on our needs and what we want to the detriment of others? Are we protective of our possessions, greedily holding on to them, not sharing them with others? This weekend I will begin the annual cycle of liturgical training in our parish for people to give of their time and talent at Mass. We already have met with the ushers and the greeters and the sacristans today. Next weekend, we will be training our altar servers and readers. Altar servers will be on Saturday at 10 a.m. here in the church. And if you are currently a reader or want to be a reader, next week after all the Masses, we'll be giving trainings. 2 weeks after that, then we'll do the same for extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion. These are our liturgical ministries. They're very important. But there are also other important ministries which need help, like youth ministry. We are in need of more adult core members if we are to offer the dynamic ministry that we're planning. We've always prided ourselves in being a youth-friendly parish. But if we can no longer afford to just assume that somebody else is going to do it, we need to give of ourselves. It's not going to be someone else doing it anymore. We need to step up. Our teens deserve our love and our time. Some of them don't get it at home. Others don't get to be in environments, social environments that are Christian-based. But we can do that. And so please talk to Dan Jones. He'll be coming up and speaking about this after Mass for more information. Another need in our parish is our school. I was just talking to Colleen Kotraba, our principal, and we're looking for people who'll be willing to help with lunch supervision and recess, the recess that follows after lunch, and doing that supervision. We must keep our children safe, which means we must have people that are going to watch them. So if you're interested and have a desire, you feel called to be involved in that way, I invite you to go to school. Go to the office, talk to Colleen, or just talk to Sean or whoever's at the desk there and get more information. And when you do talk to Dan, again, get more information. See, is this where my calling is for this year? I think of stewardship as a way of starting something, but also it can end. It's not like as soon as you become a youth ministry volunteer, you're in there forever, or at least until the second coming of Christ. Which could be short or could be long, I don't know. But you need information to make good discernment. So in order to do any ministries, we are answering something of this gospel, this commandment Jesus told us, to pick up our cross and follow him. In order to serve the church, we must renounce our own time and give it away. We have to rethink the idea that others will take care of the need, especially when God is calling us individually to be a steward of the gift that we've been given here at St. Anne. We need to recognize that if something is important, when we do this, we make time. In this case, I want you to ponder on the importance of our ministries, and I just offered a few. We need stewards, people that are willing to give themselves away in this next year, to give your time and talent. As I used to say, we should still say, offer it up. Yes, offer it up. We need to generously donate our hearts and minds, especially our young people. Well, let's just say anybody that is 30 and older knows that anybody in high school is having a very different experience than we've had. It is much more difficult, and there are things confronting them that only the church can offer as a solution. So giving in a ministry is not about ourselves. Like, I think I want to do this because this will make me feel good. You know what? Don't get involved. Because it won't last long. You will certainly then get angry because something didn't happen your way. I know this for myself. I've done this. So I'm not just saying, hey, all you people. I'm saying me too. I've gotten involved in ministries where it was about myself. It didn't go my way. I got all mad and I stomped and took my whatever ministry talents and walked away. Phooey. That was just arrogance. I was not a steward. I was owning. See, this is about God's calling for each of us. If I was a priest for my sake, I'd be gone long ago. I'm challenged all the time. But it's by dying to myself, to whatever I want, that things work out so much better. Again, this church is an example of this par excellence for all of us. Nobody got everything they wanted. We had to give ourselves away, whether it be our ideas or our wants. So here's a prayer. Ask God to help you let go of something that's keeping you from making a gift of yourself to, in this specific case, St. Anne, our parish. Or if you're from another parish, that parish. This, by the way, is how it is to be a husband or wife, to make a gift of yourself. Any marriage that starts with what's in it for me is doomed from the beginning. So maybe you need to renounce some of that TV time. You know, it's okay to watch the news once, but 4 times or 5 times in the same evening. And maybe, here's the thought, spend that extra hour or more, go to the Adoration Chapel. Maybe you need to renounce the sloth that may plague you, which is causing too much sad, I like to call it navel gazing. Woe is me. Woe is me. Maybe some of us need to stop feeling sorry for ourselves and recognize the amazing blessings around us. I like to call it, in my world, for me, a pity party. And I'll actually look at myself in the mirror and go, Bill, you're having a pity party. Snap out of it. It's not about you. And I'm like, yeah, it is. No, it isn't. You're right. I lose. I think it's fair to say that we're all busy people. Possibly too busy. And I wonder if that busyness is actually wasted time about things that are not important? Does our busyness have import of 1,000 years from now? Of being busy, whatever it is that going to matter 1,000 years from now? Because if not, maybe something needs to change. And no, I'm not advocating don't pay your taxes, because 1,000 years from now, that's not going to matter either. But I think your salvation does. And anything that's geared towards salvation is important. So you see, Christ is calling us to give ourselves away. Not for ourselves with strings attached. We need to sacrifice ourselves for God. And in this way we show love for each other and for God. And remember that Jesus gave us this command, but he didn't say, you just go ahead and do it. No, he did it himself. He is the model par excellence. He gave himself away on the cross. He was crushed. He suffered death, but he rose again. He was not conquered by it all, and nor will we. You will not be conquered if you give an hour away of your time, a week, to be involved in a ministry. So at Mass today, be mindful that he comes to each one of us in the mystery of his suffering and death and resurrection in this Eucharist. When you receive the Eucharist, know that you renew your covenant with him as a follower of Jesus, a disciple of his, to do what he did. I mean, this is hard to think about. But I want to thank you for letting go of your fears and self-doubts. I've heard so many times, I can't do that. Try it. It's amazing. In our Spanish Mass several years ago, no lector showed up. So we started Mass without him. And I said, okay, in my broken Spanglish. So will someone come up here and read? Because I'm not going to do it. And one of the women got up and she knocked it out of the ballpark. And I've been since trying to convince her to be a reader ever since, but we'll work on that. What talent she has. And she was sight reading, for goodness sake. So, fears, what are they? Unsureness, what is it? Self-doubt, what is it? Let it all go. You know, when I was a reader as a high school teacher, I was so nervous. I bumbled. I thought I had dyslexia. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't read well. Then I went to seminary. I'm thinking, I don't know what you're thinking, God, because you know how bad I am as a reader. And when I became a deacon, I'm like, I was better. And didn't worry about so much what I worried about then. I was worried about other things. Then when I became a priest, I didn't even worry about the other things. There's still too many things to worry about. I just stopped worrying about them. So here I am in front of you talking. It's kind of scary. Look at all of you out there. I just try not to think about it. Let it go. Whatever is captivating you, whatever is keeping you down and possessing you, renounce them all. And the evil one who constantly wants to remind you that you can't do it and you can't let it go. Reject him and embrace Christ's commandment. Give yourself away to him. You will never regret it. Amen.
Thank you again for listening to this episode of the Father Bill's podcast. As always, I invite you to go to my website, fatherbill.org, FRBILL.org, and there you can find all my social media connections, and you can even email me a question right from the webpage itself. And until next time, may God bless you, and have a great week. Bye-bye.